Hey guys, it's Dan from Crypto Camacho, where each day I try to give you the latest news about Bitcoin and other altcoins and cryptocurrencies in general. I try to give you the latest tips on trading, when to trade, what to trade, and what my top picks are and so forth. Today I wanted to talk about IOTA. So IOTA is an altcoin. IOTA is how it's spelled, IOTA. It's an altcoin that has tremendous potential. I think it's going to be a game changer. I think that it's going to be kind of the next big thing to Bitcoin, and I'll tell you why here in a second. So IOTA is really a cryptocurrency for the Internet of Things, right? The Internet of Things is a phenomenon that's happening where devices are starting to become connected to the internet. Everyday household items, appliances, industrial equipment, so forth and so on, is starting to become connected to the internet, and that's the Internet of Things, right? So you're getting refrigerators connected to the internet, you have toasters connected to the internet, you have manufacturing plants or nuclear power plants or oil refineries. Things like this are starting to become connected to the internet today, and that's really the phenomenon of the Internet of Things. IOTA was created as a cryptocurrency to really back the transactions between devices on this Internet of Things network or platform, if you will. And so IOTA, it's different than Bitcoin. It's different than blockchain. It actually doesn't even use blockchain. It uses something called Tangle, and it's quite different, but the potential is staggering. It reminds me of the early days of Bitcoin, when Bitcoin was half a cent or 50 cents, around that price point. That's where IOTA is today, and it reminds me a lot of Bitcoin back in early 2009. So why do I think IOTA is going to be a game changer in the cryptocurrency world? And why do I think that you and others should invest in IOTA going forward, and why I am heavily stacked in IOTA, right? Let me give you a few examples of how I think IOTA may revolutionize the world, the business industry. So first, it has the potential to revolutionize how machines interact with other machines, machine-to-machine interaction. It also has the ability or potential to revolutionize how businesses interact with machines. So take this for an example. IOTA has the technical ability to enable any technological device or potential solution from that device to be traded on an open market and to be utilized by other businesses around the world without any human intervention, right? So imagine being able to tap into another business's resources, whether all of their technological resources, their networking capabilities, their disk space, their analytics capabilities, or whatever it may be able to tap into that and trade that on an open market and actually buy those resources and use them or consume them in your own business. It's a pretty big step forward, right? In how businesses interact with machines and how machines interact with one another. It'll also, create a multitude of new business models that will generate monetary value from purely machine-to-machine interactions. So removing all humans from all the transactions in the middle, machines will start to interact with one another to create business models that actually extract monetary value, by doing things that humans can't necessarily do or can't do as effectively or as efficiently as machines. So that's, I think, another reason why IOTA will blow up, right? IOTA is one of the biggest and most important cryptocurrencies of our time. It's not the biggest, right? It's the most important cryptocurrency to watch today, in my opinion. Its potential to grow is massive, and it's massive in the sense that it has the potential to become much more much bigger than Bitcoin ever was, right? It has the potential to become many hundred times bigger than what Bitcoin is. And right now, it's extremely cheap. It's so cheap that it reminds me of the early days of Bitcoin, right? When Bitcoin first came out in 2009, it was extremely cheap, and people were skeptical about it. They didn't want to invest in it. They weren't quite sure. That's kind of where IOTA is right now. People are skeptical about the technology. It hasn't been fully proven, it hasn't gained mass adoption yet, but the pricing and where the technology is today is so undervalued that I think it's the perfect time to buy IOTA today. And in my opinion, IOTA is going to change everything. It's a space, the Internet of Things, right, or the industrial Internet of Things, it's a space that's going to be growing tremendously in the next 5, 10, 20 years. It's really going to revolutionize a lot of different things, outside of cryptocurrency, right? The industrial Internet or the Internet of Things space is really not going away. And it's only going to be growing, exponentially in the next couple of years. And so really think about this opportunity with IOTA. If you were to invest $100 in Bitcoin back in 2009, when it was at the same price levels as IOTA today, you would be a millionaire. And I don't joke, calculate that out, right? Look at what Bitcoin was in 2009, and if you bought $100 worth in 2009 and held it till 2017, you would effectively be a millionaire. And there's many people that has happened to because they bought Bitcoin early on. This is an opportunity to do the same thing with IOTA, right? So do your research about IOTA, learn why it's different, learn why I think it's the future of cryptocurrency. I think that there's a tremendous amount of potential that we haven't even tapped into yet with IOTA, and just take a look at it and start researching it. And so I've actually done a little bit of this research for you. If you look in the post that I put on Steemit, I give detailed information, very, very extensive detailed information of why IOTA is different, what it is, how it works, and how it's going to be a game changer in the cryptocurrency space, right? So let me just read from, let me go through some of this research with you so you get a good idea of what IOTA is, how it works, and what truly the opportunity size is for this cryptocurrency, and why I think it's poised to blow up in the next couple months here. So the official definition of IOTA, I'm going to read it. It says, IOTA is a brand new and novel microtransaction crypto token optimized for the Internet of Things. Unlike the complex and heavy blockchains of Bitcoin and the like, other altcurrencies, right, which are designed with other uses in mind, IOTA is created to be as lightweight as possible, hence the name IOTA, with emphasis on the IoT part. So really, IOTA was created for the Internet of Things. It was created to be a frictionless blockchain, right? A blockchain that doesn't have any type of transaction limits, doesn't have any bandwidth issues, doesn't have any fees associated with transactions and so forth. IOTA really is, it's a new protocol, and the new protocol is called Tangle. Tangle was created, and that's really at the core of the innovation of IOTA, right? The core innovation is Tangle, and it's this blockchain. It's actually not a blockchain; it's a frictionless blockchain, is what it's called, and that's really where the core of the innovation lies. And IOTA, like I said before, IOTA is different because the Internet of Things is expanding tremendously. The need for interoperability between devices is expanding exponentially as well. How do machines communicate between one another? There's not really a good protocol out today that enables all machines and different machine types, that are built to interact with one another. IOTA solves this problem, right? A lot of companies are trying to solve this problem, but IOTA does solve this problem, and it's a cryptocurrency that does this. So again, that's a huge advantage. Many critics are saying that it's going to become the backbone of the Internet of Things. So imagine as the Internet of Things grows and all of these devices get hooked into the Internet of Things or hooked onto the Internet, IOTA is going to monitor and maintain and save and encrypt all of these transactions between these devices, right, that happen on an international massive scale. And next, it's a new type of ledger system that doesn't use blockchain. As I mentioned, it uses Tangle, which essentially enables frictionless transactions and zero-fee transactions, something that Bitcoin and other altcurrencies today can't do. Ethereum can't do that as well today. Great. Why is it a great cryptocurrency? Let's just go through kind of the fundamentals. So first, I already mentioned there's no transaction fees, none, right? There's zero transactions fees. It's free to transact machine to machine and whatnot. It's free. There is great network scalability compared to blockchain, right? Because it's completely frictionless. Blockchain and Bitcoin have these limitations that are on the actual blockchain, right? Based on the blockchain size, there's limitations in terms of how many transactions can process within a particular amount of time. IOTA doesn't have any of these limitations. It's just immediate, right? It's instant and it's frictionless. So it's happening constantly without any of these limitations. Another quick advantage, is that it enables offline transactions. Pretty cool, right? It also enables business-to-business models between machines, and it enables businesses to use machine resources across the world in a decentralized way. That's a very, very important concept, right? Businesses will then be able to start interacting with one another, or their machines will start to be able to interact with one another across the world 24 hours a day to make these new business models like I was talking about. There's also the ability, like I said, to trade these resources, these technological resources on the open market, and to trade and allow companies or other businesses to actually buy or purchase these technological resources and to consume them at a price that is market ready or available at the market. One last thing is that it doesn't use blockchain. It's a new technology called Tangle, like I just mentioned. It has been expressed that Microsoft would like to add IOTA to their Azure network, right? Their Internet of Things platform, they want to add Tangle. And it's also been expressed that GE, General Electric, wants to do the same thing. So bigger companies are starting to learn what IOTA is. They're starting to understand the potential, and they're starting to want to give it a try and see if there is actually potential to this new technology. And so I think that's some of the reasons, but let's look at why. Let's look at kind of the market dynamics in the price of where I think things are at in the Internet of Things and how it relates to IOTA and how I think it can help boost IOTA and propel IOTA to mass adoption, right? So the demand for IoT solutions is going to grow exponentially in the century, right? I think we talked about that. And so just to give you an idea of what I'm talking about, so Gartner predicts that in, I think, 2017, this year, there will be 8.4 billion devices connected to the internet. So in 2017, there will be, approximately 8.4 billion devices connected to the internet in those range, right, types of devices. By 2020, they predict that that number will grow to 20.4 billion devices connected to the internet, and that the total spending on the endpoints of these machines will exceed $2 trillion in 2017 alone. Now that is a massive number. $2 trillion is going to go to actually create solutions and to manage these endpoints of all of these billions of devices that are on the Internet of Things, right? And so what about financially? So that's great. The number of devices is going to exponentially explode, right? But what about the financial forecast for the Internet of Things, right? So Bain Capital predicts that by 2020, corporate revenues will or could exceed $470 billion by IoT vendors, right? That's enormous, right? McKinsey estimates that total IoT market size in 2015 was up $900 million, growing to $3.7 billion in 2020, which is 32.6%. And I'm going to put some of these notes in the Steam It blog and in the video notes so you guys can kind of see what I'm talking about here. GE predicts that the Internet of Things, the industrial Internet of Things, is expected to top 60 trillion in the next 15 years. 60 trillion with a T, right? So, this is just mind-blowing, these numbers. The number of devices that are going to be connected to the internet, the amount of revenue or the amount of money that's going to be spent on all of these devices, managing them, maintaining them, creating solutions for them. It's in the trillions, and that's a massive number. That's even hard to wrap your head around. IOTA, the cryptocurrency, is going to be in the middle or in the center of this entire new kind of disruptive technology that's coming out. It's going to be the backbone of this entire Internet of Things. So think of that potential. It's massive, right? So these aren't small numbers. You could see that these are explosive numbers, and it's poised to blow up. So look at the notes, and you'll get some of these figures a little bit better. But now the big question is should I buy IOTA? Should I buy IOTA cryptocurrency? If you're a long-term trader, yes, I definitely think that you should buy IOTA. Even if it's $100, $50, or $1,000, I would buy some IOTA because the potential is just too massive to pass up. Even if it flopped, which I very, very much do not anticipate, even if it flopped and you invest $100, you lost $100. But the upside is so big that it's worth the risk to invest at least a little bit of money. It will take a little bit of time for this to, expand and to gain massive, widespread adoption. But in a couple years' time, this is going to explode. It's just going to explode. I just know it is going to explode. If you're in the market to make a quick buck, maybe it's not the best trade for you. However, you could day trade IOTA, right? And you could accumulate IOTA coins over time by doing this day trading. And I'll show you a chart here in a little bit of how I'm doing this with IOTA and how I've been doing it for quite some time now. And I'm accumulating these free IOTA coins over time in hopes that they'll go to the moon, right? Like everybody wants, right? So IOTA is still a fairly new technology today, so a lot of people don't know about it, which is why I'm making this video. It's fairly unknown to most of the public, and it's fairly unknown to the business world today. I think there are some players, like I mentioned before, that are starting to wake up and understand what IOTA is, and it's quickly becoming more known, but it's still fairly unknown. So I'll expect that to pick up kind of over time. And to show you what I'm talking about, look at the Google Trends chart that I have. Look at this Google Trends chart right here. You can see that IOTA is gaining in popularity and it's becoming more well known. So over time, it's actually becoming well known and it's spiking up kind of incrementally, but there's been some big spikes this last year. In 2017, there's been some pretty big spikes. So that shows me that the trend for IOTA is going up, right? There's more and more people, knowing about it, starting to learn about it, getting more interested in it. And so the interest is going up and the search volume on Google is showing us that's actually going up. And so, the truth is that IOTA is getting more and more attention, and it's getting more attention that it's, going to be the backbone of the Internet of Things. The machine ecosystem around IOTA is growing every day. Anytime that, the community interacts with new people, new businesses, that ecosystem is growing more and more every day. So what about other market indicators that are showing that IOTA is kind of on the up and up and that people are starting to understand what IOTA is and interested in adopting into it. So I typically also look at sentiment analysis, right? Social media sentiment analysis to see how the market, perceives a certain cryptocurrency, how they perceive Bitcoin, how they, perceive other altcoins and so forth. And so how do I do this? I actually go to a website. It's called Social Mention. And what Social Mention does is basically a search engine for social sentiment analysis, right? So you could type in a keyword on Social Mention, and you can look at that keyword and look at what the sentiment is of that particular keyword. And you can look at how much people are actually talking about that particular keyword. So in the case of, let me just go to the site real quick and show you what I'm talking about. So let's just go to socialmention.com. And I will pull this up, and then let's type in IOTA. So here's the search engine. Just go to socialmention.com, type in the word IOTA. It may take a second to load here, but let me pause the video here for a sec. Okay, so you can see the search results of IOTA, right? So look at the strength and the sentiment and the passion of IOTA. So let me give you a few definitions really quickly here, right? So the strength is, let me just read the formal definition of the strength so you guys can understand what it's talking about. So first, what Social Mention does is it looks at really 4 core metrics. It looks at strength, sentiment, passion, and reach. And it then ranks the keyword under these 4 core metrics. So let me just go through the definition. So strength is defined by the likelihood that your brand is being discussed in social media. It's a simple calculation, and it really indicates that how often is that keyword or that phrase mentioned within the last 24 hours divided by the total number of possible mentions. That's what strength is. Sentiment is the ratio of mentions that are generally positive to those that are generally negative, right? That's the sentiment ratio. Passion is the measure of the likelihood that individuals are talking about your brand will do this so repeatedly. So how often are people repeatedly talking about that particular keyword, right? And the reach is the measure of range of influence. What's the number of unique authors or people that are referring to this keyword, IOTA in this case, divided by the total number of mentions overall. So that's essentially how it works. And then there's also some other information, that you can glean from this, such as the top keywords associated with IOTA, top users, promoting IOTA, so forth, and the sources of where these mentions are coming from. This is not on a kind of yearly basis. This is on a much smaller time frame, but you could go into Social Mention and change that time frame if you would like, right? So while looking at this, look at how this is. I mean, the strength, the sentiment, the passion, and the reach are fantastic, right? And let's look at how this compares to Bitcoin. So IOTA's strength is around 46%. Its sentiment is 12-1. Its passion is 17%, and its reach is 38%. For Bitcoin, its strength is 17%, sentiment 6-1, passion 0%, and reach is 6%. So already IOTA is beating Bitcoin in terms of the actual sentiment that we're seeing. So clearly people are interested in IOTA. Clearly there's positive sentiment around it, and people are interested in what IOTA is going to do in the future. So here's kind of the takeaways or the findings that I take from this. IOTA's strength is more than double that of Bitcoin. Very good news, right? IOTA's overall sentiment in the market is twice as positive as Bitcoin. IOTA's passion indicator in the market is 17 times that of Bitcoin, meaning that there are, it's 17 times more likely that people are much more interested in IOTA than Bitcoin. They're more passionate about it, right? IOTA's reach overall is 6 times better than Bitcoin, and the frequency of IOTA mentions occur 4 times more often than Bitcoin. And so these things tell me that, there is strength in the market, that the market believes in IOTA. they believe that IOTA is going to be the next big thing, right? And it makes sense that they're all promoting it because, mainly the community today is the developers and the early adopters that see potential in IOTA. So that does kind of make sense, right? But it's an indication that when the search volume is going up and the sentiment analysis is going up, it's an indication to me that it's being taken positively in the market, and it's something to weigh, right? When you're looking at different cryptocurrencies to buy and sell. So now, does this mean that IOTA is more popular than Bitcoin? No, absolutely not. Bitcoin is obviously bigger, has more mass adoption, has a bigger market cap, so forth and so on. But it does tell me that it's becoming more and more widely accepted and being talked about more positively in the crypto space or cryptosphere, if you will. And so now, let's look at the price of IOTA. What's the price today? So as of today, the price of IOTA sits at around 48 cents. Yes, you did hear that correctly. I said 48 cents. IOTA is trading today at 48 cents, right? Bitcoin is trading today at 3,567, and I think it actually has gone up quite a bit since then. So think of this. I mean, even if IOTA gets to half as much as Bitcoin, and I think it's going to go way past Bitcoin, as it surpasses, as it gets more mass adoption. But even if it was half, 48 cents to, let's say, $1,500 for one coin, that's a massive, massive increase. So, right? So huge potential there. And even if it goes, to $10, $20, $30, it's, again, a huge potential. In my opinion, it's very, very much undervalued today, and I think it's because there's a lack of understanding of what it is. There's a ways to go in terms of adoption, but I think the potential is great. So now, how do you compare the two coins side by side? It's tough to do that because they are very different. Bitcoin is being used as a currency. IOTA is going to be used as more of a transaction mechanism to keep track of transactions between Internet of Things devices. So they are different, but let's kind of recap and look at how or why IOTA is such a great cryptocurrency to invest in today. The IoT space, again, is ripe for disruption, and IOTA, and Tangle are the perfect technology to disrupt this industry. IOTA has a very strong overall market sentiment, which means that there's a lot of momentum to carry this technology to success and carry it forward. The IoT, Internet of Things financial opportunity is massive and unprecedented, to anything we've ever seen in the past. As long as IOTA can hook into the IoT, its potential is equally as massive and the opportunity is equally as great. The sheer number of IoT devices that will be connected will open so many doors to innovation. It's ridiculous to even talk about it. And it'll propel new business models forward using IOTA as the backbone of the entire thing. And lastly, IOTA is cheap. It's extremely cheap. It's 48 cents. It's very, very cheap today to own. You can own a lot of it for a very cheap, a very low amount of money. So do I personally own IOTA? Yes, I absolutely own IOTA. I own a lot of IOTA, and I've actually been accumulating IOTA for several months now to try to get as much as I can before it does actually explode. I want to show you a chart. So look at this chart that I have, and you'll be able to see how exactly I've been trading IOTA. And you can see that I always use my base trading method of trading. If you're interested in that, I have a tutorial on that. You can look in the show notes and get more information on how that works. I have a YouTube video about it as well, so go to my YouTube channel, subscribe. You'll get more information on how base trading works. That's the trading method I use. But you can see that I've been accumulating. I've been buying and selling IOTA coins, but every time I buy and sell, I actually keep some of those IOTA coins every single time, and I get them essentially for free, right? Because I'm buying low and I'm selling high, so I'm essentially getting those for free, and I'm just letting those accumulate in my wallet and just letting them accumulate over time. And I continue to do this, and you can see my chart that I've been doing this for a while now, and it's actually been working out very well for me. So even if you don't want to invest your own hard-earned cash into IOTA, put a small amount in and start day trading it and start trying to accumulate those coins over time, and you'll find out that it's actually not extremely difficult to do some of this accumulation through day trading. But anyway, I wanted to show you that just to kind of show you, how I do this today. Okay, so do you want to buy IOTA coins? I highly recommend you do. And if you do, right now IOTA is listed on 2 crypto exchanges. It's on CCEX and it's on Bitfinex. I recommend and prefer Bitfinex because it's easier to use, not as glitchy. The way it interacts with Coiny is actually really good. So I use Bitfinex to trade IOTA coins. You can also. And what you would really need to do first is you would need to purchase Bitcoin and then go to Bitfinex and exchange that Bitcoin for IOTA coins, and that's exactly what I've done. You could buy IOTA through USD, but then you have to US dollars, but then you have to transfer and wire money, from your bank account into Bitfinex, and that process is much more extensive, much longer, right? Much more security to it. You have to verify your identity in multiple ways. So the way I recommend and actually prefer doing it is I would go to Coinbase or somewhere where you can buy Bitcoin. I would buy, a chunk of Bitcoin, and then I would push those Bitcoin from your Coinbase account to your Bitfinex exchange account, and then you can trade using those Bitcoins and buy IOTA on the Bitfinex exchange. That's exactly what I did. I went to Coinbase, I bought some Bitcoin, I then, from the Coinbase wallet, I transferred that to the Bitfinex wallet, and then I started trading Bitcoin for IOTA and kind of back and forth between those two, right? And that's what I do today is I trade back and forth between Bitcoin and IOTA, sometimes US dollars, but most of the time not. And that's what I recommend you do. In the post that I did on Steemit, I'll show you exactly how to do that, exactly how you can go to Coinbase, exactly how you can transfer your Bitcoin from your Coinbase wallet to your Bitfinex wallet, and then actually how you can purchase those IOTA coins. So go into the Steemit blog, go look at those tutorials that I have, and it will show you exactly what to do. And actually, one cool thing is if you use the link in the Steemit post or in the notes of this YouTube video, if you use that link to Coinbase, you'll actually get $10 free Bitcoin, $10 free Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Litecoin, whatever you buy, automatically funded to your account by using my link. I'll also get $10, so if you do it, I'd really appreciate it. We both will get $10, a free Bitcoin. So yeah, go ahead and do that. You can find the link in the show notes here, and let me know, if you do actually end up going through that process. So hey guys, I'm not going to go through the entire tutorial of how you buy Bitcoin on Coinbase. I've done that in another video. Nor am I going to go through how you actually would, move the Bitcoin from Coinbase to Bitfinex. I've actually outlined that in these posts, so you can go through that. If you do want me to make a video on how to do that, I'm happy to. Let me know. If there's folks out there that want to see exactly how you, do the migration or the transfer from one wallet to another wallet, and then how you actually do the trading. I'm happy to go through that as well. I use Coingy, so I don't trade directly on the Bitfinex exchange. I actually trade through a Coingy account. If you're interested in Coingy, you could again go to a link that I have in these show notes, and you can sign up for Coingy as well. I love Coingy. It's ridiculously easy. It's a ridiculously good piece of software that actually connects all of the different cryptocurrency exchanges so that you can trade and manage all of your accounts in one single place. So I love, love, love it. And there's a 2.0 version coming out fairly soon, so check that out. Go to Coingy. But hope you guys have enjoyed this video. I'm very excited about this opportunity with IOTA. I'm very excited to share this news with you guys. Let me know if you guys agree. Let me know if you disagree. Would love to know your thoughts on why you think IOTA may not go to the moon, may not explode. I'm very interested to hear that. I want to find reasons why I should not be investing in IOTA, because I just think the potential is so massive and so huge that I think that anybody not looking at IOTA today is really missing out, or potentially missing out on a very, very big opportunity, one that one like we've never seen before. I'd say it's as close to the Bitcoin opportunity was in 2009 as IOTA is today. So I think you should really take a serious look at it. Again, I'm Dan from Crypto Camacho. You can go to cryptocamacho.com to find out more information about me and about what I do. You can also watch me on my YouTube channel, and you can follow me on my Steemit blog. You'll find all this in the show notes. And let me know if you have any questions. But again, hope you've enjoyed this video, and hope to get your thoughts about IOTA. Thanks, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.